me all my areas that I can and can't measure. So if you see here in the middle, this is shaded in red because that's down here and it's out of range.
Sure.
Here in the insides, you can see some shaded red on the inside of all these holes. Purpose of that is because the laser is coming out from the back of the sensor forward, so it can't get into these depths here because this wall here is blocking the laser. So it shows you right now where you can measure and where you can't measure.
Gotcha.
I'll show you another. I want to remount this really quick and re-register my master. I just want to show you something this is my favorite and like my customer's favorite feature of this is, and this will be actually a pretty cool part to look at it. So I've now mounted my sensor on an angle to the part. The problem, or like what's nice about this is the fact that before with my single point laser, if you are on any angle to the part, you're gonna have problems with chatter because it's a triangulation, so it's gonna hit and come back. If it's part that's really shiny, you're gonna have some chatter and you're gonna have some issues. So with this, it's more of a line scan. You don't really have those issues with shiny parts. And then also, if my single point laser is mounted on an angle and you need that true Z height, you have to do like trigonometry, like math, to be able to find the true Z height. This has this tilt adjustment feature. So if I mount it on an angle like this, I'll enable it, and you look at your reference, your setup here. So basically it's saying that the part is lower in elevation here than it is here. And we know that's not true because this is a flat part. It's just that the sensor is mounted on an angle. Well, if you pick reference points, so if I just go here, here, and here, and I say, hey, that's actually a flat surface, it accounts for that. So now we have a nice solid flat surface all in that blue, and then it sees, you know, the O-ring here, and then as you get up in height. So that's a really nice feature of it. But the best way, if we can, is to be perpendicular to it. So I'll just do that one more time.
Yeah. Okay, I'll be a couple minutes.
So we've done that. So that's just our second step. You just register your good part. So third step, and another like reason I want to show you this is like it's when it comes to this and my other camera, they're going to be the easiest sensors that you can program. Like there's really no background knowledge you need from it. I didn't have any background knowledge in it, so it's you'd take about 30 minutes and you'd have a basic understanding of how to set it up. So here are my tools. So we have that step height that I was telling you about. This is just a regular height. This is actually a color tool, but it's a monochrome camera, and if you guys needed to do color, I will never sell you this. I would sell you this guy. But if you did need to do a slight like black to white color check, and you also needed to measure, it can do it as well. This is what I was talking about. This is a huge feature for the camera as well. So basically this box, that's pretty perfect, that's funny. This box will highlight any shape that it sees here. And then if I were to test this, so let's imagine, we'll just do it. I'll just keep this on here. So basically when I put all these other tools on here, if this part isn't in the same spot all the time and it moves, the camera's gonna track that shape that we looked for, and it's gonna move all my lasers with it. So that's what's cool is like if you have a single point laser and you're trying to measure something small and it moves a millimeter, you're not measuring what you were trying to measure anymore.
Right.
The camera will count for it on this. But if you can get away with it without using it, I would get away with it, because then you're causing vision issues as well, so.
I came in late, but did you say that you can't get the whole picture of it in the, you can't?
I can't with this, so
But I mean, it doesn't mean you can't use this.
Sure.
Is
right.
that what that means? I mean,
Yeah.
just the fact that, okay, so far you haven't heard anything, Jeff, that's.
This means we need a different camera that will have a wider frame.
Or you could use multiple of this style
Yeah.
wired together.
Will it track a moving part, like if it was set on a turntable and?
If it were doing moving, this does have a different, this has scan mode and line mode. If it was moving, I'd have to put it in line mode, and yeah, there's, we could still do it. If looking at this, I would love to try to get it in scan mode.
Right.
That would be the perfect way to do it, but it's not to say we can't do it in line mode either.
Okay.
And then so for this, like, I would be comfortable with this, as long as, like, I don't know how much of an issue is the fact that we can't see, because I could do step heights all the way around here, but like on this part here, we can't see the bottom.
Right.
So we'll need to figure out field of views. This has been out since March of 2019. This camera, it came out March of 2019. I've got to imagine there's an upgrade coming soon on it, but because of COVID, we haven't had a national convention to be able to know. So I have no idea, but I've got to imagine. I mean, every single salesman have said, if there's anything we want out of this, it's a larger field of view.
Sure.
So we'll go around here and we just add our step heights. So when you add this tool, it's really easy. Just go point A to point B, and it gives you 6.94 millimeters from A to B.
Okay.
And I wonder, I'll just do for time. Okay, so if this is that way, this is the bad one, right?
Yep.
So we'll do like this right here. I don't know, let's pick a different one. We'll try this one. Yep. Perfect. Hold on 1 second. Let me go through advanced tools. There's this max and min, and then a height area. Max and min is really nice because what you can do is I can open up an entire field of view. So like that, and basically it's gonna pick out my max height inside of that circle. So if I move this here, it's gonna hit on the plate, it's gonna hit here until, you know, obviously it moves through. So that's a really nice tool. I do that for like hole detection as well sometimes, because it'll shoot right through the hole as a minimum.
Sure.
This is max, so that's another cool tool that we could use. Now let me do this one. So step height. And so, and what I would do if we were to set this up is I could do a max tool, and then I can do a min tool. So I could put a max tool here, and then a minimum tool here, and then you can actually calculate between those two tools the difference. So it's like a step height, but instead of a single point, you're getting the entire reference here. You have a whole average of where the max point. So it's like always bottom dead center and the highest point,
Sure.
instead of just a single point.
So is this something that can be used to create that pass-fail, Jeff, that you're looking for, that will
Mhm.
block,
Absolutely.
Yep.
block it, you need a key to
Yep.
unlock it? Okay.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm gonna go over that.
Do you have any customers that are using these in conjunction together to create a bigger frame of view, or is that?
Yes,
Yeah.
because if I were to use, so if I, for this, I would use 3 of them. One, 2, 3, maybe 4, we would have to take a look at it. But 3 or 4 of these would be, let's say 4, would be $8,400 or $2,100.
Mhm.
The next step up is like $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000.
Sure.
So I have absolutely had to do that. Obviously it's not the best and everyone always wishes, well, can't we just get a wider field of view? And there will be one coming, there will be a wider field of
We
view.
have our smaller part, is that?
Yeah.
Is that, okay, or less configured?
Yes, thank you.
So here I can open these up, or like you can pinpoint really small areas. So I'll both open up. Yeah, I'll keep that large.
You must have somebody that you could call and say, hey, is there one coming out, and what's the day?
They won't tell me
Why not?
because he's sitting next to me. He won't tell me. I don't know. I don't think.
Oh, so he knows,
I
and
do.
he's knowing right now.
I do not know, but the reality is a lot of the feedback we gather from salespeople does go into the next product development cycle. So I do know that they are developing this product more. So my assumption, and it's developed in Japan, right? So that's why I just provide them the feedback of what the market's saying, and then they will hand me a product and say, here you go, now take it and sell it. So I've not heard back, but I know field of view is probably the biggest. My other thing about the field of view though, and I think this comes down to your guys' understanding your tolerances. The larger the field of view, the resolution of the laser is not as accurate. So if you're trying to determine a 2 thou step change, that's gonna be much more challenging with a wider field of view. Whereas the smaller lasers have a more concise beam spot
For sure.
and they have better measurement accuracies. So I think there's a trade-off there, and that probably comes down to you guys figuring out what is our good part, what is our bad part.
What is our largest OD hub currently?
I think that, it would be good if we were gonna spend $8,000,
12 inch.
right?
12 inch?
And then
The most common.
we found out
There might
3
be
weeks
some other
later,
miscellaneous.
here comes a camera with a better field of view, and it's cost $5,000.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
we're not that close, right? I mean,
Well, if there was a situation where you guys ended up buying like 4 of them, and then the next one came out and I could do it with one, I would absolutely do that. I would switch that over for you if it was that quick and I knew about it. But at this point, like, it wouldn't be like where you buy one or you buy 4 of them and then I would return all 4 like a year later. So at this point, it would have to be in a couple weeks, and I would probably know about it by
okay,
now.
alright.
But it is something that, like, I would tell you, I don't know, it would have to be a conversation, obviously, but if you were to do that and also the next day, I would return that. I'm very customer driven and I want my customers to like me. That's the only, that's, I don't want to be a shark, so.
And here's what I would say, which is what Jeff would say, is that if we do this in shipping and we have to get 4 cameras to make all the hubs work, when the new camera does come out and it can do bigger frames, whether it takes 2 or 1 or whatever, then we take those 4 cameras and we put them in other locations in order to start doing more of this in our facility.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
Yeah, because this is extremely versatile. Like this, my division is application sensors. So I use this on, sometimes it's measurement, sometimes it's presence absence, sometimes, so a ton of different applications. And it's extremely, this one and this one are extremely versatile. So like, if you did have, I was in here testing an application about a couple months ago. So you guys would have uses for them.
And I still want that.
I wrote it down, Jeff.
Okay, perfect.
That's
I put a
less of
star
an
next
issue
to
with the
Jeff
ones you
one.
screw now, though, right?
Yeah, but if it's not down all the way, then you're still potentially.
Or it's not in there.
Or it's not in
Or
there,
not
that
in
was
there
the problem.
completely.
Right.
Yeah, that was the problem.
It would measure both.
So, right now, we've got an okay signal. We're all within our tolerances. We've got green light, which is kind of nice for operators or you guys. It's got a green light, an indicating light that'll go red if it's bad. So if we switch parts, it's this one and this one, right?
This is the high one.
That's
Yeah, there's a red arrow pointing at it.
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, almost perfect. So now,
You can see right away.
yeah, it picks it up for you. And so right now, like if we did have the position adjustment on, I wouldn't have to be sitting here and getting it
Actually, perfect.
perfect,
Right.
exactly.
And which, is it upside down?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep, sorry. So,
That doesn't make sense, okay.
so here is the bad, and you can see my finger coming to the screen
Yes.
here.
Gotcha.
and we're getting a difference of 1.72 millimeters, or 1.7, and I set the tolerances at 1 millimeter. So it flags it immediately.
That's 60 pounds. What is the accuracy you could do with this
So
at that range?
I'll have to like, it's depending on like where you're at in your field of view, but I can give you repeatability specs, but I could find out the full accuracy for you.
Yeah.
I typically say, cause there's different, I don't think I have a brochure. Do you have an IX brochure by chance?
No, but you're talking about the minimal step change.
Yeah, the minimum step height change is kind of what I go off of. So this would be 0.1.
0.1.
0.1.
Would that be more than sufficient?
Yeah.
0.1 is like 30 or 3,000.
Yep. 4.
And so obviously we have 4 different kinds right now. Oh, it's fine.
And it's durable.
They're durable.
There you go. So that's,
I did that
a
on
good demo.
purpose.
That's a good demo.
Did that on purpose. There's 4 of them, so they're all for different heights and not really field of views. Ironically, this is my medium range. It's 4 to 7 inches is the range in the Z, and we have anywhere from 1 to 2 inches, and it's repeatable to 10 micron, and then we can go up to 17 inches, and that's repeatable to I think 150 micron. So as you get closer, you get more accurate.
Sure.
This is my one in the middle, and the one in the middle actually has the largest field of view.
Okay.
So as we go, the field of view doesn't necessarily get bigger.
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, unfortunately. So, but yeah, everything messed up now.
So I guess to Zeb's point, if you were in line mode, let's say, and we could take apart and set it on a fixture that would rotate, would it be able to check every hole as it rotated?
I believe so. I don't necessarily put it in line mode too much, and I think it would kind of, I would have, depending on where it came through, because it shoots a straight line in line mode. It shoots a straight line across. So as this comes through, I think I can have a tool here, this tool, so like, this tool here would catch
Yeah,
both
like I was
as
gonna
it
say,
came
like,
through.
we're
in
trying to
line.
get rid of the rotating fixture, Jeff.
Yeah, you just need more cameras.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even worry about that.
Yeah.
Get what you need to be able to set it there and have it read it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then what you're gonna get in my mind in line mode is you're gonna get good and bad, good and bad, good and bad, good and bad, good and bad. Did I count the right number of goods? Was there 6 goods there, or was that? Let's let it rotate again.
Yeah.
The one thing with line mode is you have to use timing, so you know when it actually needs to provide
Gotcha.
you.
There you go. See, that's what I was gonna
So
say.
you don't have the situation where you're saying
Right.
it's always going to be no good. You're going to get a blimp of a good and then no
Right.
good.
That makes
So yeah, you need to have. I mean, if it's an index rotary table, I guess there's maybe a proc or something that could tell you when.
After I said it, I didn't like
It sounds like more cameras. I
Get out of there.
yeah, I didn't like it.
Because we already have a rotating fixture and we've been meeting for 6 months to get rid of it, and now they want a second one. No.
If you can index it, I need 0.8 seconds for the inspection. So right now it's triggering and setting an output every 0.8. That would increase a little bit because we would have tools on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But step heights are a faster processing time than the max bin tool, so it wouldn't be too much of a difference.
How do additional cameras play into that? Is it all
HS.
happen simultaneous, or?
So you can go a couple different routes. Given off of what you said with reusing
Yeah, you
them,
come to the
I would do all main amps and then do a communication module back to the PLC, and then you can get individual outputs from the PLC.
So you can know which section was bad
Right.
as well.
If you wanted, we do have expansion amplifiers, and it's not like they're any cheaper than our main. The main and expansion are the same price. But if you did an expansion amplifier, it basically clips right into the side of your main, and then you can have them do the calculation and send one output together.
That'd be nice.
But most of the time, people are more versed, like controls guys are more versed with the PLC programming side of things. Other than this, obviously this is super easy, but they just know the PLC programming and would rather have main amplifiers in case you do have to move the system you have 4 standalone systems instead of a main expansion.
Okay.
Could you, show her, so we got a good part there, could you throw that back under there, so
Yeah.
you can see it pass?
So right now this is bad, and this is the bad part here,
See where their bed is?
and it's giving us a 2 millimeter difference.
2 millimeters, ooh.
And then this will be a good,
See how everything is, was great.
We still need-
Gotta get it the right spot.
Right there.
And you won't have to get it in the right spot.
Right, eventually.
Yeah.
so then ideally we would tie it into a control where it would let go of that one, but it wouldn't let go of that one,
Right.
the bad one.
And so basically what this is doing is this is one tool, these 2 dots here are one tool, and I've opened up, it's basically like, imagine it as a laser with a wide beam spot, because, and you can make them small or large, it doesn't matter. I just did large to get this whole surface instead of just a tiny little surface, because that'll vary. But so basically it's doing the difference between A to B. So what's nice about that is if like if this whole part moves, it's still just doing the step height instead of the whole height, like the height as a whole. Because a single point laser, if you lift that up, it's distance. So whatever it's hitting, no matter where that's at, it's gonna affect it. This, you can have one tool be a step height, and you can have 16 step height tools.
You'll be good, go ahead.
So that's where you'll have one on each one of these bearings here.
So, what about the hubs with more than?
If we had more cameras, you can have 16 per camera.
16 tools per program, and you can have 32 different programs. Per
So
camera.
We have hubs that'll have 18, 24 of
Mhm.
these in it, and we need to check all of them.
So that's where, when you have like 1824 pieces around, so at that point, that's where you would need either, you could do one camera, as long as it's in the same position, you can see what you need to see, you can switch programs. So if I had this camera mounted here, and then the next inspection was like getting down into here, and let's say like we wanted to zoom in on this exact bushing here, then you can do a program switch with the PLC and just call out a different program.
Oh,
Or like if, let's say this same part, it's the same dimensional size, but there's a different tolerance, let's say these are just raised up higher, then that way you do one program to check this part, program, or part A, and then part B starts running down the line, you switch to program B. And then you start running that with all those tolerances, because you want to dial in your tolerances for your part.
and that can be automated with your PLC.
Exactly, yeah. So that's like the whole point of doing, or that would be the whole point of, that's what the whole point of the programs are for. 32 different programs in case you had 32 different parts.
And then last time you had mentioned that you could put an SD card in there to expand that memory as well.
Do we have SD capability in our IX?
Not the IX.
Not the IX, that's only in the ID2. There are ways to dump it through your PLC, and then I know of guys that have them that just are smarter than I am that know how to get that data to computer. But it's a quick call to my tech team to figure out how that's done. For tracking, obviously, and traceability and stuff like that, so. But, cool, is there any other questions or anything like that? Obviously, if you guys need me to do more testing, if you want to set something up where I go out on the line and actually set it up like as it's working, or B, I can send you a trial unit of one of these as well.
Okay.
So
I think
we
either
can
of
go
those
that
would be
route.
great options. And then I would also like to see the camera that could get everything in one.
So that won't be a camera, that'll be basically this on steroids.
Perfect.
It'll be a 2D or 3D line scanner.
Okay.
And so that way you can it's much more accurate, and you can get the entire field of view,
Okay.
depending on how far away you
But that
want
was
to
a
be.
higher price point option.
Yes.
That is, yeah.
How much is that one?
I think it's anywhere from 20 to 35,000. So that's some of the questions where like it helps. Obviously, if you have a bad part come out to the customer, most of the time when this thing's $2,100 and most of the time I don't ever have anyone say, holy cow.
Right.
I've asked people how much they think this is cost. I've heard 20 grand, I've heard 10 grand. It's usually over, so I think we price it really
Oh, yeah.
well, maybe even at like low. But that's where like I ask someone, like they're like, oh my, like if they were to say that's really high, you know, 2 grand, it's like, well, what happens if one of these parts gets out to your customer? What's that cost?
Right.
And in some automotive, that could be 10K, and so you've already made 4 times fold your ROI back.
Yeah.
So, but we're gonna have to get rolling.